let me do my introduction to The Crime of the French Café and Other Stories by Nicholas Carter. Nicholas Carter being the kind of the pseudonym that all the Nick Carter stories fall under. I'm going to be reading out what looks like it's a collection of three stories. There's The Crime of the French Café, Nick Carter's Ghost Story, and The Mystery of St. Agnes's Hospital. Three complete stories of the exploits of Nicholas Carter, America's greatest detective, entered according to the Act of Congress in the years 1893, 1894, and 1900. So falling within the scope of my 1901 project, going from 1890 to 1910, where I am kind of reading into the period, trying to get a handle on this time period where my grandfather was born in 1901. So yes, The Crime of the French Café and Other Stories. So Nicholas Carter is a construction. I'll see if I can actually get to the right stuff. Is a fictional character who began as a dime novel private detective in 1886. So this isn't the first appearance of him, and has appeared in a variety of formats for over more than a century. This is my Wikipedia reading. The character was first conceived by Orman G. Smith and created by John R. Coryell. Carter headlined his own magazine for years and then was a part of a long-running series of novels from 1964 to 1990. Films were created based on Carter in France, Czechoslovakia, and Hollywood. Nick Carter has also appeared in many comic books and radio programs. So these particular books, I have a feeling, I was just looking at the publishing history, probably not done by John R. Coryell. He bowed out after a while. In 1891, Street and Smith, the publisher, hired this fellow, Frederick van Rensselaer to write the series. That is the what sounds like maybe not that greatest happy author there. He hired him to continue the series begun by John R. Coryell on the adventures of Nick Carter. Most of his Nick Carter stories appeared under the pseudonym a celebrated author and the author of Nick Carter. He wrote over 1,000 Nick Carter novelettes comprising over 40 million words, all written longhand. Day also worked as a newspaper reporter. So yeah, Street and Smith was a New York City publisher specializing in inexpensive paperbacks and magazines referred to as dime novels and pulp fiction. They also published comic books and sporting yearbooks. Among their many titles were the science fiction pulp magazine The Astounding Stories, which they acquired in 1933 and retained until 1961. So yeah, this Street and Smith was founded in 1855 and bought out in 1959 by Condé Nast, actually. So they very much kind of churned out a ton of stuff, including Astounding Stories being a part of what they did. So this is stuff that seems to have been serialized a lot in magazines and then put out in really cheap novelettes. So I figured, yes, the crime story, the detective novel, is always been a kind of a going concern, and it was definitely a going concern in the 1890s to 1910s. That was really a thing. So I thought I'd go into this with one of the premier examples of the time, which is the Nick Carter stories. So yeah, The Crimes of the French Café is what I'll be reading out. The Crime of the French Café, Nick Carter's Ghost Story, and The Mystery of St. Agnes's Hospital. Oh boy. All right, here it comes.